Should hate speech be protected as free speech? Hi everyone, today I'd like to discuss one of the most controversial issues in constitutional law and political philosophy. Should hate speech be protected as free speech? Freedom of speech is widely recognized as one of the most important principles of a democratic society. It allows citizens to criticize government, exchange ideas, and challenge social norms. Without freedom of speech, scientific progress, political reform, and social movements would be much more difficult. For this reason, many democratic countries treat freedom of expression as a fundamental constitutional right. However, the issue becomes much more complicated when speech targets particular groups because of their race, religion, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. Supporters of regulating hate speech argue that words can cause real harm. Hate speech may encourage discrimination, intimidate minorities, and in extreme cases even contribute to violence. History provides many examples in which systematic propaganda fueled persecution and mass atrocities. From this perspective, protecting vulnerable groups sometimes requires limiting certain forms of expression. On the other hand, defenders of broad free speech raise an important concern. Who decides what counts as hate speech? The definition is not always clear. A government may begin by restricting genuinely harmful speech. Later, however, it might use the same laws to silence political opponents or unpopular opinions. History also shows that censorship has often expanded beyond its original purpose. Another argument is that the best response to harmful ideas is not censorship but open debate. In a free society, false and hateful ideas should be challenged through evidence, education, and public discussion rather than government prohibition. Supporters believe that once governments gain the power to decide which opinions are acceptable, everyone's freedom becomes more vulnerable. In my opinion, freedom of speech should remain one of the strongest protections in a democratic society. However, speech that directly incites violence, constitutes targeted harassment, or intentionally encourages imminent criminal acts should not receive the same level of protection. The challenge is ensuring that legal restrictions remain narrow, precise, and subject to independent judicial review. Ultimately, this debate is not simply about speech. It is about how a democratic society balances two equally important values, individual liberty and human dignity. Finding that balance is one of the most difficult tasks in constitutional law. So here's my question for you. Should hate speech be protected as part of freedom of expression, or should governments restrict it to protect vulnerable members of society? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for listening. See you next time.